Your habits aren't just things you do, they're things that shape who you're becoming. And as you move into a new phase of life, whether that's a new month, a new season, or simply a moment where you're craving a reset, it's worth asking, which habits are still supporting the person I want to be, and which ones are holding me back? Because intentional living isn't only about adding new routines, it's about recognizing the behaviors that drain your energy, make life harder than it needs to be, or keep you stuck in patterns that no longer fit your goals. Today I'm sharing specific habits that most people would benefit from leaving behind, habits that create unnecessary stress and make it harder to build a healthy routine. If any of these resonate with you, they might be the ones worth leaving behind as you step into your next chapter. In case you're new here, I'm Dr. Kelly Cosgrove, a habit expert and professional organizer. I help overwhelmed people build routines that actually stick using behavioral science and home organizing strategies. All right, let's get into it. The first habit you might want to leave behind is phone-first mornings. Your brain wakes up in a highly suggestible state. Whatever you see first, whether that's emails, news, notifications, other people's opinions, it sinks deeper. Stress also registers more powerfully right when you wake up. Your nervous system is still calibrating for the day, so if the first thing you see is a crisis-filled news headline or a message demanding your attention, your body enters stress mode before you're fully conscious. Checking your phone first thing in the morning also hijacks your focus. You wake up with natural clarity, but scrolling replaces it with chaos, and once your attention gets pulled outward, it's very hard to reclaim. Morning scrolling also floods your brain with dopamine and sets you up for a day of craving quick hits. Your phone is basically a dopamine slot machine. Every scroll gives you novelty, unpredictability, social reward, micro-entertainment, distraction, and emotional stimulation. This combination is wired to be addictive. The problem isn't dopamine itself, dopamine is essential. The problem is timing. If the first dopamine hit of the day comes from your phone, your brain learns, this is how we wake up. This is what we do to feel stimulated. This is what satisfies us. And your brain becomes calibrated for fast reward, high stimulation, low effort, and low patience. This makes healthy morning habits like stretching, making breakfast, exercising, or journaling feel slow and boring by comparison. Scrolling first thing in the morning also increases anxiety, even if what you're looking at isn't necessarily stressful. Most people think phone-induced morning anxiety comes from reading upsetting news, seeing bad messages, or checking work notifications. But even happy content can spike stress early in the morning. Here's why. Your metabolism and cortisol levels are naturally rising. This is your biological wake-up process. If you add an emotional or cognitive load on top, even mild stimulation, your stress response can jump. Scrolling overloads your sensory system. It can expose you to too many colors, sounds, bits of information, faces, and ideas before your brain is ready. Your brain sees new information as responsibility. Everything you see becomes something your brain must process. Should I save this recipe? Should I respond to this? Should I worry about this? Should I add this to my to-do list? All before you brush your teeth. Okay, so hopefully by now you're on board with cutting back on your morning phone time, but how do you make that happen? Let's talk solutions. Because it's not enough to say don't scroll. You need a replacement system that works with your brain, not against it. Here's the simplest framework that I often use with my clients. Step 1. Move the cue. Don't keep your phone within reach when you're sleeping. This can be a really effective way to break the habit of checking your phone first thing in the morning, simply because it will make checking your phone something you will need to do more intentionally, rather than by default right when your eyes open. Consider charging your phone in another room when you sleep, or if you're not ready for that yet, at least charge it across the room where you can't reach it from your bed. The goal is simple. Your half-asleep hand should not be able to reach your phone. Step 2. Choose a 2 to 5 minute replacement activity. You don't need a full morning routine, you just need something small to do before picking up your phone. For example, some replacement activities could be to drink water, open the blinds, make your bed, stretch, step outside for 30 seconds, brew coffee or tea, take deep breaths, put on workout clothes, or write down one priority for the day. The idea here is to choose a couple quick and easy activities to get used to doing first thing when you wake up to break the habit of checking your phone right away. Step 4. Set a reasonable goal. If you still want or need to use your phone in the morning, choose a boundary that feels doable. For example, no phone for the first 10 minutes, no social media until after breakfast, only check texts after getting ready, or I must be sitting at the table before I open anything. These are much easier than trying to quit cold turkey and can also create intention around your phone habits while not changing up your routine too much. The benefits of less screen time in the morning are immediate. Within a few days, people typically notice better focus, more self-trust, and improved mood. Healthier habits also start to feel easier. When your dopamine response isn't hijacked, you're more likely to reach for better choices, and your mornings will feel calmer. All right, the next thing you might want to leave behind is chaotic evenings. Your evenings are quietly determining everything about how your next day is going to go. Your energy, your mood, your motivation, your food choices, your focus, even the quality of your sleep. All of it is shaped by what happens between 6 p.m. and the moment your head hits the pillow. If your evenings are rushed, disorganized, or exhausting, you're going to feel less ready to take on the day when you wake up the next morning. Evening chaos usually shows up in a few familiar ways. You come home and instantly feel behind, dinner feels rushed or last minute, surfaces are cluttered, you're multitasking nonstop, you eat whatever is easiest, you're overstimulated, still thinking about work, you turn to your phone to unwind, but it makes you more wired, bedtime gets later and later, and you're exhausted but not actually relaxed. This sort of evening chaos affects your life in three major ways. First, decision fatigue peaks at night. Evenings are when your willpower is at its lowest. Your brain has made thousands of micro decisions all day long, and by 6 to 8 p.m., it's basically running on fumes. That's why even simple choices like what to eat, where to put things, or whether to clean up the kitchen feel disproportionately difficult. Second, your home becomes a cue for stress. If the first thing you see when you walk in is mail piles, dishes, laundry, clutter, unfinished tasks, your nervous system goes straight into do more mode instead of rest mode. Your environment is telling your brain you're not done yet. And third, chaos affects your sleep quality. When your evenings are scattered or overstimulating, your brain doesn't get the chance to wind down gradually. Your sleep may be lighter, shorter, or more restless. Even if you technically go to bed at a reasonable hour, your brain may still be processing chaos from the evening. So what do you do if you want to leave chaos behind? Let's talk about some strategies that actually work. Step 1. Create a transition ritual. Sometimes evenings go off the rails because your brain never gets the signal that the workday is over. So you stay in go mode even when you're exhausted and should be resting. The transition ritual is a 1 to 2 minute cue that shifts your brain into evening mode. This could be changing into comfy clothes, lighting a candle, washing your face, putting your phone in the kitchen, turning on softer lighting, doing a 1-minute stretch, or starting dinner prep music. This is a signal, a cue that tells your brain work is done, you're allowed to slow down. Step 2. Reduce friction in the first hour of your evening. The first hour determines everything. To make it easier, remove friction from the tasks you resist. Prep dinner ingredients on Sundays, keep your evening vitamins out and visible, keep your kitchen counters clear, have a drop zone for bags, mail, and keys so they don't clutter your space. Reducing friction is not about doing more, it's about making what you already do feel lighter. Step 3. Create an evening home base. Pick one spot in your home that signals calm. For example, a reading chair, a cozy corner of the couch, or your kitchen table with soft lighting. You're training your brain to understand, when I sit here, I wind down. And step 4, create a bedtime cue system. Give yourself external cues to get ready for good sleep as bedtime approaches. Here are some examples. Turn the kitchen lights off at a certain time, use only lamps after 9 p.m., set an alarm to cue your wind down routine at a certain time, or come up with a habit stack, such as after I brush my teeth, I stretch for 1 minute and get into bed. Okay, the next thing you should leave behind is an inconsistent sleep schedule. An inconsistent sleep schedule might be sabotaging your health and your habits. Going to bed and waking up at different times every day isn't just a minor annoyance. It has ripple effects on your energy, mood, focus, and even your long-term health. Sleep isn't just rest, it's a carefully orchestrated biological process. When you go to bed and wake up at different times, you disrupt your circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock that regulates sleep, hormones, appetite, and energy. When you don't have a consistent sleep schedule, your brain gets confused. Your brain thrives on predictability. When sleep times shift, your body doesn't know when to release sleep hormones like melatonin or wake up hormones like cortisol. This can make you feel groggy in the morning, make it difficult to fall asleep at night, and cause poor memory and focus during the day. And even if you get 7 to 8 hours, irregular timing can sabotage the restorative quality of your sleep. Your sleep schedule can also affect your metabolism. Research shows that inconsistent sleep schedules can affect insulin sensitivity, appetite hormones, and even fat storage. Having an inconsistent sleep pattern can increase cravings for sugar and high-carb foods, make weight management harder, and increase the risk of metabolic issues over time. Your mood and mental health are also impacted by your sleep schedule. Mood disorders, anxiety, and irritability often spike with inconsistent sleep. If your brain is constantly adjusting to shifting sleep times, it can be perceived as stress, and stress can lead to emotional instability. Your sleep schedule also affects your cognitive performance. Even small shifts in sleep can affect your memory, attention, problem-solving skills, and decision-making. You may notice yourself being foggy during the morning hours, unable to focus at work, or forgetting tasks you normally remember. An inconsistent sleep schedule can also lead to increased long-term health risks. Studies have linked irregular sleep schedules to high blood pressure, increased risk of heart disease, higher likelihood of type 2 diabetes, and weakened immune function. And in addition to all of these physical effects, an inconsistent sleep schedule also makes it harder to stick to habits and routines. Inconsistent sleep feeds a vicious cycle. Late nights lead to tired mornings, lead to skipped workouts, to poor eating choices, stress, and then late nights again. Your habits are only as strong as the foundation of your energy. Sleep inconsistency erodes that foundation. It's also harder to build consistent routines when the anchors of your day, waking up and going to sleep, shift to different times. It's really hard to build a consistent routine when your days are always starting and ending at different times. Alright, hopefully now you have an idea of why it's so important to build a consistent sleep schedule. Let's talk about how to make it happen. We want to make sustainable changes, which means we'll want to start gradually. Start by deciding what your goal bedtime and wake-up time will be. The goal is to keep it the same every day, including weekends. You'll want to factor in how much sleep you'd like to get, as well as all of your life circumstances that might have an impact on your sleep schedule. Make sure you set a realistic goal for yourself. Once you've decided what you're working towards, start out by making small shifts in either your bedtime or your wake-up time. I usually suggest starting with making changes to your wake-up time. It tends to be a little easier to make the decision to get out of bed when your alarm goes off than it is to force yourself to go to sleep earlier than your body's used to. Of course, waking up earlier than you're used to will be difficult at first, but if you stay consistent with it, your bedtime can naturally shift earlier too, since you'll likely be tired from waking up early, and then after a few days or a week, you can get used to the new schedule. I don't recommend shifting your wake-up time by more than 30 minutes at a time though. For example, if you usually sleep till about 9 o'clock on the weekends but have the goal of waking up at 7, I'd suggest waking up at 8:30 until it doesn't feel challenging, and then work up to 8, then 7:30, and then finally 7. Doing it in stages like this makes it less disruptive to your schedule and makes it more likely that you're able to stick with the change. Once you're consistently waking up at the same time each morning, your bedtime might naturally adjust itself because you'll naturally get tired earlier if you're waking up earlier. If this hasn't happened, you might need to focus specifically on adopting a consistent bedtime. Set an alarm for 30 minutes to an hour before your bedtime to cue your wind-down routine. Dim the lights, switch to non-screen activities, make a cup of tea, whatever helps you relax. There are so many different factors that can affect your sleep, so what works for one person to adopt a consistent sleep schedule might not work for you. These are just some general ideas of what you can try. If you have other tips that have worked well for you, leave them in the comments below. I always love hearing what works for other people. Okay, let's move on to the next thing you should leave behind. Not being intentional with your eating habits. Eating patterns are oftentimes shaped by visibility, convenience, and defaults, not motivation. Here's what happens when you're not intentional with your eating habits. Number 1, mindless eating happens. Eating while scrolling, watching TV, or rushing between tasks often leads to consuming more calories than you realize. Mindless eating disconnects you from your body's natural hunger and fullness signals. Number 2, reliance on impulse and availability. If your kitchen is stocked with easily accessible processed foods, you're more likely to eat those, especially when you're tired, stressed, or rushed. Without intentional planning, your environment is making the decisions for you. Number 3, skipped meals and energy crashes. A lack of structure often means skipping breakfast or lunch, leading to blood sugar dips, cravings, and overeating later in the day. These patterns not only affect weight management, but also energy, focus, and mood. Number 4, inconsistent nutrient intake. Without intentionality, it's hard to consistently include fruits, vegetables, protein, or fiber in your diet, and your body will miss the building blocks it needs to perform optimally. Let's talk about the hidden systems guiding your eating. It's not just about self-control. There are secret systems in place that shape your eating behaviors. Some of the most common invisible influences are environmental cues. What's visible and accessible in your kitchen dictates what you eat. Habit loops. Times of day, emotions, or routines can trigger eating automatically, such as eating an afternoon snack when your energy dips. Social influences. Meals and snacks often align with coworkers, friends, or family, not your plan. And decision fatigue. By the end of the day, willpower is low, so the brain defaults to whatever is easiest. When you're not intentional, these systems can determine what you eat, not you. So let's talk about why intention matters for long-term success. Being intentional doesn't mean rigid restrictions or calorie counting. It simply means making a conscious choice about what and how to eat that feels aligned with your priorities. It's not about good and bad foods. Sometimes eating a slice of cake might be aligned with your priorities, and you can enjoy it in an intentional way. Here are some practical steps to being more intentional with your eating. Start with planning and prep. Planning meals in advance can set you up for success. Plan breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for the week. Prep ingredients or meals ahead of time, and use containers or bins to make it easy to grab snacks, fruits, and veggies when you're on the go. Even 30 to 60 minutes of prep once a week drastically reduces impulse eating. Use visible cues. What you see influences what you eat. Keep healthy foods like fruit, cut up veggies, or nuts visible on the counter or at eye level in your pantry or refrigerator. Hide or store less healthy options in opaque containers or on higher shelves. Or place a water bottle on your desk to cue hydration before snacking. Use implementation intentions. Pre-decide what you'll do in specific situations. For example, when I feel hungry between lunch and dinner, I'll have a small handful of almonds and a glass of water. When I get home from work, I'll prep a quick dinner before checking my phone. These defaults remove decision-making stress and make healthy choices automatic. Plan for low energy or stressful days. Your new habits are most vulnerable when energy dips. I always recommend coming up with a low-energy version of your plan that can help you stay consistent even when life gets hectic. And finally, align your environment with your goals. Your surroundings should support intentional eating. Designate zones in your kitchen for prep, cooking, and snacks. Keep your workspace or desk stocked with water and healthy snacks. And remove clutter or competing distractions that make it harder to follow your plan. Your environment can be a strong ally when you're working to build better habits. Set up your home so it cues the behavior you want. The fourth habit you might want to leave behind is uninterrupted sedentary time. Most of us spend hours sitting every day, at work, in the car, or on the couch. You might think, I exercise, so sitting isn't a big deal. But research tells us a different story. Even if you work out, long bouts of uninterrupted sitting have unique negative effects on your body, energy, and overall health. It can impact metabolism and weight regulation. Research shows that extended sitting slows the metabolism. This isn't just about weight gain. It affects energy levels, inflammation, and long-term health. It can increase the risk of chronic disease. Studies have linked prolonged sedentary time with cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and even certain cancers. The risk exists even for people who meet weekly exercise recommendations. Staying seated for hours decreases blood flow and muscle engagement. Leg muscles, core, and glutes aren't being activated, and over time this can contribute to stiffness, poor posture, and joint discomfort, and it can affect your energy and mood. Sitting for long stretches can leave you feeling sluggish, foggy, or irritable. Movement doesn't just have physical benefits, it stimulates brain function, improves circulation, and helps regulate stress hormones. Let's talk about how short movement breaks improve health. The research is clear. Even brief, regular movement breaks counteract many risks of sitting. It can result in a metabolic boost. Standing or moving around every 30 to 60 minutes increases muscle contraction, improves insulin sensitivity, and helps regulate blood sugar. Regular movement breaks are also associated with energy and cognitive benefits. Short activity breaks can improve focus and concentration, mood and stress regulation, and overall alertness. Even 2 to 5 minutes of stretching, walking, or body weight movement can make a difference. Let's go over some practical strategies to break up sedentary time. Set a timer or reminder. Use technology to your advantage. Set phone alarms or smartwatch reminders every 30 to 60 minutes. Set calendar alerts for movement breaks, or use apps that nudge you to stand or stretch. Pair movement with existing routines. Behavioral science shows that habit stacking can improve follow-through. Stand or walk during phone calls, stretch while waiting for your coffee to brew, or walk on the treadmill while you read. This leverages existing behaviors so movement starts to become more automatic. Create a movement-friendly environment. Design your space to encourage motion. Keep water or snacks slightly further away so you get more steps in. Use a standing desk or balance board for parts of the day. Or unroll your yoga mat in the living room before you leave for work each morning so it cues you to do a few stretches when you get home. Take short, high-frequency breaks. You don't need long workouts. The goal is small bouts of activity. A good goal is 2 to 5 minutes of movement for every 30 to 60 minutes of sedentary time. You could walk in place, do a few squats, or stretch. Use these breaks to reset your posture and get your blood moving. Combine social interaction and movement. Make movement part of your social interactions. Schedule walking meetings, take stretch breaks with colleagues or family, or find accountability partners for standing or walking reminders. Track your sedentary time. Tracking makes the invisible visible. Use a smartwatch or fitness tracker to monitor sitting, record steps or break frequency, and reflect weekly to notice patterns and improvement. Here are some specific ideas to reduce sedentary time. When you're at your desk, you can stand or walk during calls, use a timer to prompt micro breaks, or alternate sitting and standing every 30 to 60 minutes. During your leisure time, limit binge watching sessions and schedule stand-up and stretch breaks. Pace during phone calls or while waiting for the microwave or oven, or stretch or do bodyweight exercises during commercial breaks. During your commute, park further from entrances, take stairs instead of elevators, and walk or bike for part of your commute if possible. Use household tasks as micro-movement opportunities. Fold laundry standing up, do squats or calf raises while brushing your teeth, and carry groceries and multiple trips for extra movement. Remember to start small. Consistent small tweaks are better than big changes that are tough to stick with. Take 30-second movement breaks at first and increase to 2 to 5 minutes after a week or two. Then gradually build into walking meetings or stretch routines. The habits you're leaving behind aren't about restriction or perfection. They're about making space for routines that genuinely support you. If you found this video helpful, check out my recent video where I talk about how to stay on track with the habits that actually support you using science-backed accountability tips. I'll link it here on the screen and in the description below.